Hey everyone, Zane here. Apologies if I'm a little quiet. I'm trying not to disturb my parents. They're in the living room. They probably can't actually hear me, but I just I don't want them interrupting me. Um, I I just wanted to make a quick video um, that I guess you can call this kind of an update video, but basically just going over um, where I've been and how I've been feeling the past couple of months, which I realize I don't have much of a following on YouTube, to be honest, but um, and I'm sure that most of you who followed me, you followed because you were interested in the things I've made and not so much in me as a person. But I know that there are people out there who do care about me. So I do feel compelled to talk to people about where I've been and how I'm feeling and be honest about it. Because this year has not been off to a great start for me. I think I've been pretty honest about this in a lot of other places, but I have a pretty extensive history with mental health struggles. I have depression, and it's something I've dealt with all my life. It was not until a few years ago that I really started trying to treat it, and even when treating it, I sometimes don't always manage it the best. Um, and I mentioned this a little bit in the finale to Darius the Conqueror, but um, around the time that I was wrapping up production of The Hack, um, I had a bunch of things go down in my personal life that kind of eroded the sense of discipline that I had built up over the past year or so. Um, and throughout January, I had a number of things that happened that just completely threw me off balance. I had stuff like um, I won't go into too much detail. I mean, there was stuff like I caught COVID. Um, I had a pet that passed away who had been a part of my life basically since I was born. So that sucked. Um, and all of that kind of led me to retreat in on myself and really abandon a lot of the good habits that I had cultivated across 2023. And and as a result, I went into a bit of a mental spiral, um, and I was very not kind to myself. One thing I've always struggled with, I've said before that I'm a massive perfectionist, have been all my life. But the other big thing I struggle with is this sense that I don't actually have the dedication and determination to really accomplish things that I want in life. Um, that I'm not capable of pushing through the difficult stuff to get, to make something out of myself. If, let's say, I want to make a video game, because I do. I want to make a real video game, like not a ROM hack, just something that I can sell for profit, um, and something that I can put out into the world, and you know gain legitimate recognition from. Um, which I'm not saying that any of the stuff that any of the kind words that you people have left on Darius the Conqueror videos is illegitimate. It does still mean a lot to me. Um, but but I want to make my passions into a career, and the thing is that throughout much of January and February, I've spent a lot of it depressed, a lot of it kind of holed up in my room, a lot of it, just not doing anything, just mindlessly watching YouTube videos, playing video games, um, and and throughout that time, it was very hard to shake the feeling that finishing Darius the Conqueror, even if I wasn't able to finish all the support conversations, it felt like a fluke. And it's it was rough feeling that way. And I I to be honest, I'm not entirely sure that I am 100% over my doldrums. There's still some things that I want to be doing currently that I'm not. You know, I stopped going to the gym. I want to start trying to do that again. But getting yourself back after a long time away is always the hardest part. Um, and obviously there's a bunch of projects that I'm that I want to be working on. One thing that I wanted to do at the start of this year was I wanted to work on the sequel ROM hack to Darius the Conqueror, which I'm calling Conqueror's Guide in Locratia. Um, and the thing is that I have already done a bunch of work on that hack, and I probably could just kind of go ahead and finish it, or get started on it in earnest. But in the past week, there's been some news I'm sure you've heard about, the fall of Rooster Teeth, Rooster Teeth getting shut down, and and most recently the passing away of Akira Toriyama, who is one of my favorite artists. He did character designs for two of my favorite games, Chrono Trigger and Dragon Quest XI, two of the best RPGs I've ever played, and and more than that, just the man's influence just permeates so much of nerd culture in general, from Japanese games to anime and manga, and even Western culture in a lot of ways, because his work was so popular. And the thing is that there's a lot of talk nowadays with stuff like AI art and a lot of the really shitty decisions by a bunch of big entertainment companies. It does feel like a lot of people. It does feel like the world is becoming even more hostile towards creative people and creative works in general, and particularly with a lot of real fresh-faced creators. It's starting to feel like the deck is stacked against us, even more. And when I saw the news that Akira Toriyama passed away, I I realized that I have to I have to make my mark on this world. Not not even because I feel like I'm good enough to try and fill the void that somebody like him leaves. Um, but because because I think that the world needs passionate people, and it especially needs people who are passionate about creating. And whatever else I want to say about myself, I do believe that I am passionate about creating, and I want to not only show that, but I want to be somebody who helps provide equally passionate people with a place to share their creations, and help bring them to life. Um, and it's tricky because a lot of the stuff that I want to create is not stuff I can really do on my own. Um, I have a fairly limited skill set, um, and and like I can write well enough. I can make music well enough, and if if people have been telling me they like my level design for Darius the Conqueror, I don't always agree with them, but I think that the talent's there. Um, the tricky part is that I still can only do so much, and it's not out of the question for me to develop skills for things that I'm lacking in, like learning how to make my own art and actually learn how to draw, um, learn how to do pixel art even. Um, thing is though is that I I do still want to collaborate with people, and that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other set of challenges. Um, I remember that a few weeks ago, I remember Lewis Blazing Knight was holding one of these little AMAs on Twitter, and I remember asking him the question of, if you weren't if you weren't doing Twitch and YouTube, what would you be doing for a job? And um, he said probably making indie games, or drawing my own manga. And I remembered looking at that and thinking, fuck, that's what I want to do, you know? And, you know, God willing, I would happily work with him. He's my friend. Um, but he's also a busy man, and, you know, he's got a channel to take care of. And that's kind of the tricky thing with collaboration, is that, sometimes you can have somebody that you think is just the best at what they do, and they have no interest in helping out a nobody like you. And I would be lying if I said I wasn't bothered by that, but I accept it. Um, but this is not a this is not me trying to sound discouraged. you know, because it just means that I have to work smarter, not harder. I have to know how to make the pitch to somebody I want to work with, and to be prepared with enough evidence to show that, you know, a project that I'm working on is worth worth being part of. So this is all kind of roundabout, but I think what I'm trying to say is that my priorities for what I'm going to be working on in the new year are going to be, going forward in 2024, my priorities are going to be different. And I'm probably going to be moving away from Fire Emblem ROM hack content, and probably not finishing the current ROM hacks that I've started working on. Which is not to say that I won't do anything with the stories that I came up with for those projects, because in some cases they're kind of essential to this to larger stuff that I have planned. But my main priority is going to be working on getting Darius the Conqueror turned into its own game, into its own IP. And I don't know entirely how I'm going to do that. It's going to be a lot of work, and it's not going to be easy. It's probably not something that I'm going to make a ton of progress on by the end of this year, or even by the end of next year, but I've decided that, you know, that's, if I accomplish nothing else in this lifetime, I won't forgive myself if I don't at least do that. And that's not to say that I won't still be uploading stuff to this channel. You know, I have some videos planned out for the future, in the coming weeks or so, but I want to get myself on track, and I want to start carving out a legacy for myself. Something that I can look back on at the end of my life and say, you know, this is something that will live on past my lifetime, and I can be proud of that. So I know I've been pausing a lot throughout this video. I think it's pretty obvious that I'm not always the most articulate person, but I think that's all I've really got to say for right now. So if you have decided to watch this video, thank you. and I will see you whenever I see you next. Take care, everyone.